Now, one question I get asked quite a lot is why don't I spend more time talking about officiating mistakes, because there's always plenty to choose from, and I think this story is a good opportunity for me to explain why and look at this story because it is interesting. There's been talk and reports that in private World Rugby have said to New Zealand Rugby, yes, the officials made a mistake in the World Cup final, the TMO intervened and went back too many phases to spot the knock on, and actually the Aaron Smith try should have been allowed because they shouldn't have gone back that far. Now you could always argue that if the try had been scored, then maybe Beauden Barrett wouldn't have scored later because the restart would have been different. But I think with all these mistakes, the what ifs, I just don't see worth getting caught up with, and I'll explain why. Because if you do, then you tend to get consumed by rage and vitriol over those injustices that you think your team suffers. And in rugby, as in all sports, you could always look at the other side. The other team could say, here's a list of things that referees got wrong. We know that the laws of rugby are very complicated and mistakes will happen. It is what level do you draw where you say that is unacceptable? Of course, there has to be a line. But again, you could say maybe England fans could be consumed by the injustice of maybe one of the scrum penalties in their semi-final shouldn't have been given, and maybe they should have gone into the final. Now, if you think I'm naive, fair enough, but I actually think that officials do desperately try their hardest to get things right and do the best they can. I think it's fine to push for TMO protocols to improve and refereeing standards to improve, but I don't think it's right to excoriate the referees for the mistakes in the process which they are inevitably going to make. Now, yes, professional referees, they're professional and technology is improving, but generally I think if you're going to enjoy watching and playing rugby, you just have to accept these mistakes. They will happen, and they happen on both sides. And also overcoming them is part of sport, is part of the sporting challenge. Now, if you think an official is deliberately cheating or deliberately being biased to one side, then I think that is a different proposal. But personally, I don't think that happens in the huge majority of cases. So should New Zealand have won the Rugby World Cup? Well, no, because they didn't, and that's including mistakes from both sides, and that's just sport. You just have to deal with it, or you spend your life getting consumed by anger and rage and commenting on videos and things like that. It's not for me. Let's just move on. It's an interesting story, but it's also a reason why I don't tend to comment too much on refereeing mistakes or officials' mistakes, because that is part of sport. Now, let me know if you disagree. It's a really interesting topic, and I'd love to know your thoughts as always. Comments below, and I'll catch you next time.